So we've had a look at how we can extend a large background die or any sort of background die that has a repeated pattern in it. And I want to show you now how you can do that with smaller dies as well that you perhaps want to change the shape of somewhat. So for instance, I have here a set of banner dies or decorative flags as they are called. And these are lovely and they have a flag end on one end, as we can see here. So we've got this chevron cut and we've got a lovely detailed border up the sides. But what if we decide, actually, I'd like that shape at both ends? Well, my die's not like that, so what am I going to do? Well, you can do it. And this is where your creativity with your dies is really going to come to the fore. So what we need to do is tape this down. It's important to tape the dies down because then they're not going to shift and you're going to have accurate cuts and you're going to know exactly where it needs to go back into position. So I'm going to start cutting this from this chevron end. So this end is going to go into my machine first and I'm going to roll it through the rollers to about here. If I take it all the way up here, it's going to cut this end and I don't want it to cut this end. So I'm going to roll it to about here through the machine. So let's do that. Now I'll put it through my machine slightly on an angle to get it started, and then I'm going to make sure I take away the bits that have just fallen out from the die so they're not going to be underneath and causing a problem. And then I'm going to put it straight on there because it's already cut the ends now, so it's not going to struggle quite so much to accept it under the die cutting rollers. So let's take it to there and come back towards ourselves with our die. So you can see it's an incomplete cut because we didn't take it all the way to the end under the rollers. So now I'm going to remove this. Again, the only proviso I would give you on this is that the pattern has to be repeatable. So we've got a few bits that I need to remove from the die. Again, this is where you're going to need a sharp tool. And I've also got a little bit of tape that's got stuck there, so let's get rid of that. We don't want that staying there. And that sometimes does happen. It's not a big issue. And let's make sure all the bits are out of here as well. That one won't come out because it's not fully cut, so that's fine. It's going to stay there. So now, what I can do is turn this round and I can find where the pattern snaps back into place, and you'll feel it, it just clicks into place because the pattern is symmetrical and it is repeatable. So once you're happy that that is snapped in, then again tape it so that you know it's not going to shift. Now this time we need to be careful that again we don't come over this edge, because if we do we'll cut this end off. It will cut across there. But we're already cut all that way to there. So I actually only need to worry about coming to about here to cut the rest of that shape. So let's do that. So what you need to be aware of is how far below the roller the die is actually going. So that's probably far enough. And let's come back. If you check, sorry about my squeaky handle, but once you've done that, if you check it, well, it's just popped out anyway. And look at that now. We've got the same die, but we have created an entirely different shape with that die. And again, I think once you get to grips with this idea, you'll start to look at some of your other dies and think, well, actually, I could do that with that as well. So we've gone from having a single-ended shape to having a double-ended shape. And equally, we might decide that we don't want the chevron, we actually want a straight edge. So we can do exactly the reverse of this. So let me do this, because this would make a beautiful border, I think. Let's get rid of these little pimples off our plate. Always keep your plates clear of bits because they cause little dimples if they get where you don't want them. So I'm going to partially cut this through. So I'm going to go to there and come back. So this time it's this end that I'm not cutting. So we've just got a straight piece here. Now if I turn this round, pop in the pattern, make sure it matches, get rid of any loose little bits so they're not going to be able to interfere. Make sure you clean your plate. See, these bits, they tend to stick to your plate once your plate gets a little bit worn like mine is. That's fine. Sometimes I get a little brush and just brush them off. Now I can reverse what I did with the chevron end, snap those little circles into place. You feel it sort of click. Take this down again. And now I've got to be careful not to cut this end because I'll just end up with a chevron this long and I don't want this to cut. So I'm going to be rolling this way to about here. So I've just gone, it's just there, but it's not gone under the roller. Again, this is something that the more you do it, you do get a feel for it. But if you remember that your rollers are in the centre of this, and then you sort of eyeball how far you can go underneath your machine. So it's not quite cut in the middle there, but that's fine because I can still put this back, snap that back into place. And I know that I need to go a little bit further than I did that last time. So let's just tape it back into place. I can feel it, it actually clicks. It's really quite a positive positioning when it clicks back into place. And look, I need to take these off. Don't forget to do that because they will cause a little pattern of their own if they get left there. So let's go back and go a little bit further this time. Okay. Ooh, sorry about the squeak. There we go. And that's now cut. And we've got what is effectively now a really lovely border strip that can go down the edge of a card. And that's from a die that we thought we could only cut a chevron banner with, which is that one.